Well, California's court system is facing an unprecedented $350 million of cuts to help close the state's deficit. San Francisco Superior Court is expected to be one of the hardest hits. The court is preparing to lay off 40% of its employees and decrease services to the public. Earlier today, I spoke with presiding judge Katherine Feinstein about the impact. Well, welcome, Judge Feinstein. Why don't you start by telling us what and why is San Francisco in such a unique position in this whole battle over budgets for the court?
I think San Francisco is the first of several courts that are going to be confronting this exact same problem. I think we're the first to go. And the reason is that throughout the year and through last year, the governor and the legislature have come in and taken huge chunks from the judicial branch budget to attempt to solve the state's budget crisis. This year, that left us with a $13.75 million deficit from an operating budget that had already been reduced from the mid $90 million to about $80 million. And it was the final blow for us.
So what is the effect that you expect to happen if money doesn't materialize from somewhere?
If money doesn't materialize from somewhere, we have sent 60-day layoff notices to 200 of our employees, and I should include that we already are short 18% of our normal workforce by means of attrition. Losing that staff will result in us having to close 25 out of our 63 courtrooms.
My, that's an awful lot.
It is 40%.
Right, and so that's how many employees and how much longer, if that should happen, would it mean to people trying to get their cases before the court?
Well, it will have little to no effect on those cases which we are either constitutionally or statutorily mandated to handle. We will abide by speedy trial rights. We will abide by preference statutes, anything that mandates that a case be handled in an expeditious fashion, we will follow. Where I think the pain will be felt is in general civil litigation, in family law matters. I think you can expect incredibly long lines to wait to file a document and a very long time for your civil case to proceed through our civil trial system.
Could San Francisco have done things any differently with the condition that the state has been in for the last few years? It's been cut. Was there any way to avoid such a big hunk of people going?
Well, we have undertaken mandatory furloughs. As I said, we have 18% vacancy in staff by attrition. We have done court closure days. We've done pretty much everything that one can do short of layoff. Probably the error that we made was we decided to spend our reserves rather than lay off people last year. And hindsight is 2020. The people could have been laid off last year and maybe we would have been in somewhat better shape, but fortunately our folks were employed another year and access to justice was guaranteed for another year.
Today the Judicial Council that is supposed to look out for these kinds of problems met, and you were there. What did you tell them?
Oh, I told them three things. I told them that personally I was disappointed that their mission and the mission that they reiterate to anyone and everyone is that they will provide support and service to the trial courts had not been fulfilled. I told them that I thought it was imperative that they look at the two biggest programs that are draining millions of dollars from trial court funds, one being an elaborate case management computer system that has so far used $410 million of trial court funds and has proven not to be very effective. It's not in full use in any county, and bits and pieces of it are in use in only 7 counties. And I suggested that perhaps it was time to recognize an error was made, cut their losses, and move on and restore that money to the trial court trust fund.
It's a pretty tough recommendation that you're making there. How did they receive your remarks? Do you think there'll be any changes from where you are now coming out of this?
Probably not.
Was there this discussion of the possibility even?
Well, there was discussion of what they are going to do about construction projects and about this large computer project. However, they seem usually to rubber stamp whatever the staff recommendation is. And I expect that there will be a small amount of backfill that from a combination of sources. I don't think that it will be sufficient to significantly alter our situation.
Overall, what effect do you think this is going to have on the justice system in this county?
Well, I think it's going to have a terrible effect. And it's going to have a terrible effect because it will mainly affect the civil justice system. And we are an epicenter for civil litigation. We have very sophisticated judges. We do a lot of civil litigation. We are the venue of choice in most cases where people may choose to or have the right to file in any California county. And that will no longer be true. And I think economically, San Francisco is home to 14,000 attorneys, and they will surely suffer.
Well, I want to thank you, Judge Feinstein, for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, Josh, you also follow this story. The Judicial Council met and made some decisions. What were they?
Well, Judge Feinstein's fears came to pass almost exactly as she said. The Judicial Council voted unanimously to go with the budget it had planned on. They rejected calls to cut the bureaucracy deeper in order to spare the trial courts. The spending on that computerized case management system that she talked about is suspended for 1 year, but the council is considering going back to it in subsequent years. So all of those deep cuts she talked about are going to happen.
Okay, Josh, thanks. And thanks to every one of you here at the table for joining me tonight.